And the Casa de las Americas has just made its own awards for literature from across the region in the category for Caribbean literature in English and Creole. 2 writers from Barbados and 1 from St. Vincent and the Grenadines took awards. To talk about this, we're pleased to have joining us one of the judges, Jacob Ross. He's from Grenada, but currently in Britain. Thank you so much for your time, Jacob.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. It was
Well, my first question, Jacob, it's interesting to have a prestigious award for Caribbean literature in English from a Latin American country. How does that relationship work across the region and languages?
Well, I think it's very important, and of course the bridging aspect of it would be translation, and that's one of the strengths and one of the advantages of being on the radar of Casa de las Americas or winning a prize, because one of the things that go with the prize is, in fact, having one's work translated, which means, of course, it reaches a wider audience, which can only be good. So the 3 people who have actually been identified, in the first case, the winner, which is Anthony Kelman.
By Anthony Kelman.
Tracing Jaja.
Jaja,
yes, Tracing
sorry.
Jaja. Yes, by Anthony Kelman. Tracing Jaja. His book won the prize in the Caribbean section, and of course we had some very distinguished books also being flagged or highlighted.
Tell My Mother I Gone to Cuba.
One of them being Tell My Mother
I Gone to Cuba by Sharon Milagro Marshall. And Canoe and Sweet
Barbados.
By Philip Nanton.
Canoe and Sweet, yes, by Philip Nanton, yes. Very, very strong work. In fact, we had a wonderful array of high-quality works. Another Barbadian writer who I thought made a very, very, very strong impression and is also worthy of a mention, although, of course, we only had 2 people. That was this wonderful book called Leaving Atlantis, a book of poetry. And there were others too, but these were certainly.
So Jacob, I wanted to ask really quickly, yes. How do you see the situation of Caribbean literature in the world today? I mean, outside of just Latin America, just in the wider world, how do you see Caribbean literature being situated for international audiences? Yes.
Yeah, well, I think our great golden period was in the 1950s and 60s with some of the writers coming from the Caribbean and actually either migrating to the UK or the United States of America. And there had been a sort of quiet period, a lull, until relatively recently, I would say in the past 5-10 years. Madam James winning the Booker Prize has turned the world's attention back to the Caribbean and to Caribbean writing. Caribbean writing has always been very, very strong and very healthy. We have some of the world's most fantastic writers. It's simply that the publishers seem to have, and the readership seem to have turned their heads the other way, getting taken up by writing that come from other spaces, other cultural spaces. But now, people are turning back towards Caribbean literature and having a sense of what they have been missing. Yeah, so in a way, there's a lot to look forward to. It's quite an optimistic time for us.
Jacob, thank you so much for talking to us. I have to agree with you. It's really an exciting time for Caribbean literature. We've been talking to Jacob Ross. He is one of the judges of the Casa de las Americas Literature Prize for the Caribbean. Other news now.